Welcome to the end of year Breaking Barz Cypher. We're here celebrating the life and legacy of Len Johnson.
There's a colour bar, which was no dogs, no blacks, no Irish.
He wasn't a dog, but he was definitely black. I'd call him somebody's son, a man of colour, a radical activist.
Len Johnson, let me tell you about the King Len Johnson. He was harder than you, me, him, her, them, Bronson.
Breaking Barz is a night of live music, and it was formed back at the back end of 2021 to celebrate the life and legacy of this man, Len Johnson, at the very pub that he was kicked out of back in 1953 because of his skin colour.
Breaking Barz project, it has many facets to it. So first of all, we come together in a place that once was segregationalist and celebrate and remember the life of Len Johnson. People of colour weren't allowed to come into the Old Abbey Tap House. There's a very common sign, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. And he wasn't a dog, but he was definitely black.
Len didn't drink. His best friend was Wilf. Wilf had approached Len saying, look, there's a colour bar, which was no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. There were signs and pubs that said that all around Manchester. So Wilf encouraged Len to come down here and order a drink. And Len didn't drink, but he tried to order this drink. The landlady said wouldn't serve him. And then Len and Wilf went and caused a bit of ruckus. They went to the mayor's office. They got the press involved. I think they brought down 200 campaigners. And the landlady had to serve Len. And that toppled the colour bar across other places.
When it came to his rights as a human being, his right to be treated fairly, and to begin that journey here in Manchester is just, it's different, it's powerful.
When we first opened the pub about 7 years ago, the historians approached me with the story that Len overturned the colour bar. We decided we'd make a moment out of it.
Rachel, who runs the Old Abbey, she came to us, myself and Rootz and Renee, and said, do you want your own night? You know, call it Breaking Barz. And it's just grown and grown from there. We've 9 shows in now, and you know, it feels absolutely symbolic that Breaking Barz is here.
The title came from seeing Cam stood up in front of the mural, and the way the mural was, it looked like it said Breaking Barz.
I would love to take ownership of the name, but I can't, unfortunately. It was Rachel. Rachel came to us. It says there, Breaking the Colour Bar. And I think that's where she got the idea from looking at the posters. She said Breaking Barz, because obviously Len broke the colour bar. So Breaking Barz, it's a great name. I think the first one was in 2019, then 2020, then 2021. Done 4 now, 4 annual drinks every October in Black History Month to celebrate Len and his life.
And I ain't even trying to boast like most. I've been looking in my mind for quotes. I might go deep inside, you know. I might float, might sting, won't bite, you know. He was a proud man, camp Pan-African, attended the 5th Pan-African Congress. If he were here today, I'd chat with him and ask him how to use my voice to conquest.
What do I know about Len? I knew nothing until Lamin and Deej educated me on it, to be fair. Lamin told me, have you ever heard about Len Johnson? Sent me stats on him, told me his story. When I was researching it and learning about him, how is someone this great, how have I never heard of this story, innit? Stories like that I obviously kept from us for a reason, innit?
So Len had 135 professional fights, 93 wins, but he had an unbelievable record. You know, if you put it into comparison, Muhammad Ali, who's known as one of the greatest, had 60 odd fights. Floyd Mayweather had 50 odd fights. You know, Len Johnson had 135 fights, 93 wins, fought the best of his generation. Unbelievable record. I've had a frame of Muhammad Ali above my bed since I was a kid, right? But it should have been Len Johnson, if you know. Do you know what I mean? There's heroes from overseas, but we had our very own Muhammad Ali in Manchester this whole time. So the story in his life has always inspired me. Yeah. So because of his skin colour, simply, he was not allowed to compete for the British title. So there was a Rule 24, which was imposed by the British Boxing Board of Control, who are still the governing body today of British boxing, which stated to compete for the British title, you had to have 2 white parents. So it was a racist policy. It was about keeping the British Empire white. It was about keeping Britain, white people at the top of the food chain, if you like, and not wanting to see a black champion. Winston Churchill was a Home Secretary at the time. He fully backed that policy. And Len would fight and push, and even though he beat the best fighters of his generation, he was never crowned British champion.
When we say he was an uncrowned champion, he was a champion, but he was never allowed to keep hold of it.
And where we're talking about radical politics, racism that has been in the country for hundreds of years. So something like Breaking Barz is just a part of a bigger wave, bigger radical anti-racism movement that has been happening for so long.
Cause I'm on that Kevin. If you move long with my last slender, don't tell me about no X-Men. She really thinks I will avenge her. Hey, cast these bars, flow so adequate, not so it all makes sense. There's a sweet one called Mercedes by the way.
He was the key figure in the anti-racist struggle. He did everything that he could do, but in his later life, in this country at least, it was spent in obscurity.
He was such a humble man. He was the best fighter we ever had. And then he came back here and was a bus driver and fought for his community. And I think that's a real hero. And that's the role models we should be giving to kids these days. Not Beyonce, not Jay-Z, but a man who worked for his community, lived in his community, and looked out for everybody. That's a real man. Your legacy is in the stories people tell of you. That's really all we are when our bodies go to the earth.
Black, black, black rose in these gardens. There are black, 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 black roses in these gardens.
One quote from Len is that there's many ways to win a fight, both in the ring and outside of the ring. And so we need to use our brains and we need to organise. We need to build communities. And I think one of the lessons that Len teaches us is that your struggle is my struggle. And I will be part of that.
Who sets the rules and who sets the tempo? Man versus woman said the world's gone mental. Us versus them treat life like a rental. I don't mean to offend you, they chat woke, but it ain't.
So like using music as a tool to educate as well as share and celebrate about the life of Len Johnson is like the best tool you could possibly use to bring knowledge to the youth.
I think at Breaking Barz, all the artists, that's what music is for them. It's their output, their way of expressing themselves and fighting a struggle.
See me out there, come and lay down this book. My body up there, come live. So don't ever preach to my young children that the man we came from was wild. And I know that will make man.
Len Johnson was resilient, and he was from an era where you fought for your community and you fought for the people around you. He was a fighter, but not just in the boxing ring. He was a fighter for injustice.
Len does live in people's hearts. Len lives on definitely in my heart and in my daughter's heart. And so, yeah.
I ain't gonna dive deep in a long breath before I find the right path. Took up a wrong steps. I hope that we can build a statue in his name. In the city was racist, irrelevant today. He was born in 1902 and he died in 1974. He achieved a lot in his time. I hope in us will do more. I hope in us will make a change. We'll say the names. We'll free the ones that they enslaved. Not by the chains, but by the laws that stay in place to the present day. Let me slow it down. We'll make a change. We'll say the names. We'll free the ones that they enslaved. Not by the chains, but by the laws that stay in place till the present day will never fade away.